Welcome to Hard Hats and Horizons, the podcast where we dig deep into the construction and economic development shaping the future of Dallas-Fort Worth. We bring you insights from industry leaders and visionaries who are driving growth in North Texas. From construction projects to industry trends and insights, we cover it all. So grab your hard hat and join us as we explore the people and projects shaping the skyline of DFW. Now, here is your host, Andrea Pender.
Well, we are going to go ahead and get started today on the Hard Hats and Horizons podcast. Today I have Jason McCann, and he is the CEO at Vari. And I'm super excited to have him here. If any of you have been in the office, you will all see that we are huge fans.
I know. I trotted around here. It was amazing today, so thank you.
Yeah. And I want to kind of mention a couple career highlights that you have here. You are an EY Entrepreneur of the Year and CEO of the Year by DCEO magazine. So those are pretty exciting things there.
Blessing. It's fun. It's really a team win on all those things. It's not just one person.
Well, so for those few people out there that have never heard of Vari, what are you going to explain to us? Tell us what it is.
Yeah, about 13 years ago, I was president of my business partner's company. And so nobody's ever heard of Jemmy either. But Jemmy actually makes all those holiday inflatables that you see on people's yards for Halloween and Christmas. And Dan, Jemmy, they also created the big mouth Billy Bass fish, the singing fish on the wall. So Dan and I have worked together since 99. We had gone bust in the .com business together. And my entrepreneurial journey was blessed to work with Dan and build Jemmy into an incredible company. About 13 years ago, 12 or 13 years ago, I was having back pain, standing at a cardboard box. And I would go into his office. I'm like, what are you doing? He goes, I feel better when I stand up. That became the catalyst for an idea. I didn't know anything about office furniture, but I know a lot of things about building culture and people and creating innovative products. And that kind of got us on the journey of Varidesk. We started selling Varidesk product. It became a company and we spun it off. And so I was running both for just a little while. And then I just focused all my energy on creating this little Varidesk product and driving it around in my Tahoe and showing all these.
This was the desktop piece.
Yes. Just put it on the desk and grab the handles and stand up. And we were driving all over Dallas, showing it to people. And Dallas is so great to build a company and learn in these great organizations. Like Verizon was one of our first customers in a Container Store. And then it started to grow. And as it grew, we recognized that it was much bigger than a standing desk. Health and wellness was always a big thing. I think Verizon said the number one reason that people miss work was back pain. So we're learning all these things. But ultimately, it's about culture and people. And so we started to expand the product offering, got into electric standing desks, got into some of the stuff that you all have here, the standing conference tables.
So nice. So it really is so nice.
And people would walk in our office and go, well, I want this. And while they were describing the product, they were ultimately describing the culture and the energy of the space. And that got us in this journey to kind of rebrand and simplify and keep expanding on that journey.
That's interesting. So I have a funny story. Years and years and years ago, so you said 12, 13. So I bet this was 10 years ago. The firm that I worked for wanted to try this standing desk thing out. And so each operating unit was given one standing, the one you put on the top. And I'm like, well, how do we do this? And they said, well, each office is just going to figure it out. If you keep it for a day, if you keep it for a week. And I'm like, well, that's not what? So anyway, I tried it first and I was like, well, we're going to do 2-week rotations.
Love it.
So I kept it for 2 weeks and then it was right around Christmas break. And so then I had to sit for about a week and I was like, this is awful. And so I got a gift card for Christmas. And the first thing that I did was buy one for myself because I was like, I don't want to wait for this 2-year experiment to happen. I need a standing desk today. So yeah, there's a lot. It's nice to walk around. I mean, there's some people who stand all day, but gosh, I think having the standing conference room, that has been just a game changer. Yeah. So that's huge, as you know.
We've all sat in those meetings and you're at a traditional conference table and you just want to stand up. And it's so awkward if you're the one that stands up.
Looming.
Looming. So that when we started doing the prototypes for the standing meeting tables, conference tables, and then it just worked and you just kind of jump out of the chair and about half and half sit and stand.
Yeah.
And it worked.
It
and,
works.
and then other people wanted to buy it. Richard Branson of Virgin said, standing meetings go way faster. And you notice it too, just people, when you're standing, you have a lot faster conversation versus you're sitting down, your energy. So it's working. So we're still powered it.
Well, I'm glad that you're figuring it all out for us. Well, so you've touched on a few things, but kind of talk to us about your background and then how you landed at Vari.
Yeah, so it was a beautiful journey growing up in Galveston. My mom was the first entrepreneur that I knew, and she owned a hair salon. And so I would go down and sweep the floors for her. And my brother and I worked with her until we were about 15. And then she said you had to go get a real job. So I started working on the beaches in Galveston, doing chairs and umbrellas, and then got the entrepreneurial bug like my mom. And so I leased my own beach and bought my own chairs and umbrellas and studied at the University of Houston back when they still had the hospitality program there, the Hilton College. And that was a great opportunity to learn. But I had this entrepreneurial bug. So I ended up opening up a restaurant and nightclub in Houston back in the early 90s when the Rockets were winning back with Akeem Olajuwon and the Rockets heyday. So it was fun to be in my young 20s and own a restaurant and nightclub. But I realized that was not my calling. So got out of the restaurant industry, got my MBA, started working on finance work, randomly got into consumer products during the POG craze. And if you remember POGs, these little cardboard circles that kids would stack up and hit slammers. And I went boom selling Pogs while going to school and created a kids board game and happened to bump into a company in Houston doing toys. And they said, well, Pogs are dead and it's a fad. And literally when I walked out the door that day, I couldn't sell another Pog to save my life. So I went to work for Rick at that company and really learned everything about the toy industry and traveling to Asia, and bumped in organically to Dan Flaherty, who ran that Christmas and Halloween company that I alluded to in 1999. And that was the golden age of the dot-com boom. And that's how we got into that industry, to the dot-com craze, selling Christmas and Halloween online. And unfortunately, I built another business that scaled up and went bust when the dot-com crash happened. I was at a pretty dark place personally and professionally back in 2000. I just realized I needed to do something else, and Dan needed help at his business. And I would say if you've done an entrepreneurial venture and you've lost a lot of money or made a lot of money with somebody, you're either friends or you never talk again.
Right.
And even though we had lost millions of dollars together, we became very good friends. And I wanted to help him build the company of his dreams. So I just took a step back and became an intrapreneur, as I describe it. So really operating like an entrepreneur inside of somebody else's company.
Nice.
And so I helped him build out Jemmy to an amazing, it's the best Christmas and Halloween company out there. That's why you're seeing it on everybody's yards already, all the cool Halloween decorations that they sell at Lowe's, Home Depot, and Walmart. And that's how we got into furniture. And I don't know anything about it, but I know culture and people, and that's that starting of the Varidesk. And in 2019, as Varidesk we were selling millions of units. We'd already sold over 2 million Varidesks to people just like you do, bringing their own desks to work or buying them all over the world. And we became the #1 growing company in Dallas and won all these amazing awards. But we also recognized products have a life cycle. And could we do something different? So we worked with a company called Landor, who's a marketing firm that helped take Federal Express to FedEx. And they said, if you drop the word desk, you do have an opportunity to build something even bigger here. And so we expanded the product line. We leaned into it. And we went for it. And that's when we hired a bunch of salespeople. We expanded our brand, did more and more TV ads, and got into the full workspace company that we are today.
And so you guys have standing desks.
Yep.
And you also have...
We have soft seating. We have full electric desks. So the storage, really everything, about 350 products that can complete an entire office. And so what started as just an item has really become a company. And so we do workspace design now as well. And so we'll come in and work with clients to bring their vision to life. We probably transformed over 5,000 offices across the country. We also do installation services. So we'll come out, we'll install the furniture. So we've now designed it, we've installed it. We create all the products ourselves. We've got 4 warehouses across the country. And then we have a huge online business. So a lot of people, during COVID started working from home, and they would just order a desk. And thank God we were in Texas. We had to keep shipping and staying open. And that got us into these other categories. So we do a lot of work from home for clients as they're thinking hybrid. We do great business with all the co-working operators. So you've got Caddo and Fuse and all these great co-working companies, and we sell product to them. And then we happen to sell product to all these great organizations like Carrco here that are thinking about how do we crack the code on the future of work, and we sell product to them and do all the installation and design services.
It's funny you mentioned dropping the desk, because we have been Carrco painting for 30 years. But about 2.5 years ago, we added a drywall division in. And so it's like at some point in time, so our logo now, if it goes out on anything, it just says Carrco. And so, but then it's like, well, what about a tagline? What about this? And I'm like, one step at a time, one step at a time here. But yeah, so I can see, it's funny how when you get in that little niche, just because of a name of a company, and it's like, well, if I just drop part of it, then you can.
Well, it allows your brand to grow. When I toured today and I got to learn about even more stuff that y'all provide to the market, and I was like, wow, that is much bigger. So the vision that Javier and the team and y'all are all building is so incredible. So it's really exciting.
It is pretty exciting. What are some things that have motivated you, or some lessons that you learned throughout your life?
Yeah, I would say you have these peaks and valleys. And so I always try to remain very, very sort of in the middle there. And I think growing up in Galveston, I always go back to the hurricane analogy. I think about a lot of things can be going on around you, almost like a hurricane. And you've got to kind of be that eye of the storm and remain very, some things are beyond your control. Some things are in your control. And so just reminding yourself what is in your control. And so your attitude, your effort, the amount of impact that you can have personally, the energy that you feed off of people, that positive energy that you're giving out. Because there's so much out there, and we turn on the news and there's so many crazy things.
Right.
And so even this year, as we're going into the market, we felt very, very good about it. But the tariffs threw us for a curveball that I didn't expect. And so suddenly we're navigating things that are beyond our control. And now there's some consumer pressure on our consumer division because we sell online. And so navigating those things and still being able to grow our business is very good. But that's because as leaders, we're remaining calm. We're controlling what we can.
Right.
We're marching towards a common vision to help drive our business and goals out there.
There's a phrase that I heard years ago where it says, what is it? Think globally, but act locally.
Love that.
Because it's like, you can only do so much. You know, you can't solve all the problems in the world tomorrow, but maybe you can solve a few right in your little bubble.
Yeah,
you know,
some of those highs and lows. When I hit one of my lows a couple times, I've been broke a few times here. I reached out to my grandmother who passed away at 101. So this would have been back in several times. I would call her all the time. And one day she said to me, "God only gives you as much as you can handle. And he must think you're stronger than you think you are." And it was just an interesting way for me to sort of encapsulate her complete faith and pushing that into me and just say, wow, this is a part of the process, and trust the process. You're going to get through it. You're stronger than you think you are. And some of those little lessons that you get along the way from all the people that you interact with, all these conversations really help elevate you. And so that's one of the things I lean on in those moments where it's like, okay, this is a lot. I feel like I'm carrying a lot, but that's, I'm strong. I'm going to get through it. Just make the best decision I can. To your point, control, just do what you can. So that locally comment about just one step forward, get through it. And then all of a sudden things start to work out. Never too high, never too low. Just keep going.
Right. No, that's really good. What about mentorship? How has that played a part in your life?
Yeah, I think about the people that have had an influence on me. Rick back in the day at the toy company, just early on, recognizing that I had a flawed business model and the fad was over, but to lean into me and pour into me and take me on those trips to China and negotiate and take me to a Walmart meeting and QVC and Toys R Us back in the day. But to lean and then meet with Dan Flaherty, who's been a true mentor of mine at Gemmy, and just to lean into people that are ahead of you on the journey. And Russell Dents would be the third one that's been a dear friend of mine for over 30 years. But to have these people you can call, but also recognizing as you start to work up that you're now become the mentee, but you're also the mentor. And so now to help the next generation of young leaders that are coming up, but can also be peer-to-peer.
Right.
I've had plenty of coffee conversations where I sit down with somebody and we recognize we're both in a very similar place. And just to have people you can talk to in a safe space
huge.
and help you navigate through that.
Mm-hmm.
And so whether you call that mentoring or just friendship, I think so many during that COVID time, we lost that human connection. And so to force yourself to find ways to connect with others and recognize we're all on this journey together.
Yeah.
Important.
I meet with a lady once a month, and it's pretty much a peer mentorship. You know, I was just talking about it earlier where we kind of talk about what's going good, what maybe needs a little improvement. And then, of course, there's friendship things that come up. But it sure is nice to know I can text or call like, hey, what did you do in this situation? Or who should I use for XYZ, services? So it's nice to have people in your back pocket like that. I have a big passion, as you've seen from all my LinkedIn posts, but for women in our industry. And I say it on every podcast, but I wish I had a crystal ball to see where we were in 10 years with all the ladies in the industry, because I feel like we have a nice group of like 25 to 30-year-olds. And so I'm like, man, in 10 years, it's going to be amazing to see where they're at. Yeah. I heard a phrase, literally at one of my first conferences I ever went to, and it said, lift as you climb. And so that's one of the big things that I try to do with the ladies when they come to the networking groups, who can I help introduce you to, or what do you need to learn? And so it's nice to be able to be that person, but then also have people I can count on also.
Yeah, it's fun. I get to talk to some of the entrepreneurs through the Texas Business Hall of Fame, and these are college students that they're already in business, and they're getting the scholarships that I received back in college, or the high school entrepreneurship programs where these young entrepreneurs are coming up with the next AI stuff or coming up with ideas in robotics and solar, things that are way beyond even the way my mind is working. But if there's anything I can do to be a catalyst for them, I go back to in the Houston days, Tris Mack, who owns Gallery Furnitures. He used to own the Rockets, but he had this furniture company, he still does, there on I-45, and he started selling bean bags and had a tent out there, but had survived a whole lot of personal challenges and became this incredible. And I've never met him in person, but I remember him standing on stage and giving this speech back in college and talking about focusing on your customer, building that relationship with your team, serving them reliably, and giving back to the community and to see that impact. And I remember how I felt watching him. And I say, if I ever make it someday, I'm going to do that. So your comment about continuing to help the next generation. So I do it whenever I can, whether it's through podcasts or conversations, because if you can be that one spark or catalyst for somebody else that's going to go out there and make a positive impact in the world through their work, through their giving, through their charity, through their family, that's what it's all about. Just making this world just a little bit better.
You do a lot of giving back types of things. Are there a few organizations that you really spend a lot of time in?
Well, there's a variety, but I think early on I would say less than 1% of our products would get returned. So we might have a person that didn't like an original Barra desk. Okay. And I walked in the warehouse one day, I was like, we had 100 of them because we'd sold tens of thousands and we had like 100 of these. So what are we going to do with these? And then we said, what if we could just give them to school teachers or something? Like, what if we could give it to nonprofit organizations? And so was the catalyst for our giving campaign at Vari. And so we've just always sort of done that for nonprofit organizations. And then our employees came in with ideas, and I had never met Dr. Jackson at Minnie's Food Pantry, but she came in and talked about the impact she was having in the community. And so we were able to donate some furniture for her.
Nice.
And we learned about Metro Crest, and that was great for us. Make-A-Wish here in North Texas. And all these great organizations that we were able to plug into and give some furniture. So they might have a budget of X.
Right.
And could we take it to 2X through some giving campaigns? And we've donated over $8 million worth of furniture in the last 10 years to all these great nonprofits. And so we continue to do that. On a personal note, I like to paint. Every once in a while I get in there and splash around some stuff, throw some, my kids call it splatter paint, but going through and just having some fun on the canvas. And I started doing that more in the 2020 era when I was freaking out. And so I started to do it. And I think our team at the time with our Verispace buildings was looking for some art to hang on the wall. And I said, well, I know the cheapest artist. My wife would love for me to get these canvases out of my house. So we hung a few and somebody asked to buy one. Yeah, I felt a little weird about it. I was like, well, don't pay me the money. Why don't you just write a check to Metro Crest?
Love it.
And that turned into a giving. So I think my paintings have raised a little over 150,000.
Oh, that's awesome.
We've got one for the Cattle Barons Ball that's going out here.
Nice.
So I donated one for that group for the American Cancer Society. We've got some for Make-A-Wish, North Texas, and Metrica, and just fun to create those. So people will come to me and just buy one. And so that's nice. Bob Nardelli, actually, who is the CEO of Home Depot, and actually bought one and gave it to Towers to Tunnels for made a huge donation to them for a painting. So it's been fun to make that impact just by something I love and putting positivity out there in the world and raise some money for great organizations that some I've never heard of, but you can get connected to. So it's wonderful.
So I feel like that's kind of a good segue. This is not on the list. I mean, you do a lot in the commercial real estate space, but then you are able to go to so many different areas because it's desks, it's, chairs, it's all the things that you just mentioned. So how do you kind of figure out where to spend all of your time at? Because there's only so much time in a day.
Yeah, I think, in 2016, 2017, it brought up, he's like, should we buy a building? And it was just like, oh my goodness. And we bought the old sales headquarters there in Las Colinas. And the idea was like, okay, co-working was doing this back in 2018 and traditional leases were here. And we felt like there was something in the middle, and it would also give us a playground for product to learn. And we weren't in soft seating. We weren't in lounge, training room tables, all this stuff. But now we had this building. So Corgan came in and helped us, and then we had to fill it with product. So that forced us to do new product ideas. And these things that you try along your entrepreneurial journey allow you to explore, and almost like an artist and entrepreneurs are very similar. And so for us, it became a canvas for us to play and start to crack this code on the future of work. And that worked. And so we bought the second building out in South Lake from Blackstone, who we had put furniture into their other buildings and had leased faster.
Oh,
and then they had one more building left, the one that we bought there at 114 in Kirkwood, said, hey, we just want to sell it. So they named a number, we named a number, we came to an agreement, and we bought that building and we transformed that. And I think it had sat empty for 11 years in South Lake. And so we're like, can we do it again? And then we wanted to build a building. And so we worked with Adelson and Peterson and Corgan and Boca Pal to build the building of the future right there in Capel. And all this was done during COVID, and we thought COVID was going to end in 6 months.
Right. 2 weeks.
2 weeks. Oh my God, we'll be back. So, but thank goodness we were on time, on budget. All of it worked out for us. But that becomes this ideation lab for us. So we have clients that tour the spaces. We host virtual tours. So now with technology, you can walk through and see the space and us transform it. Plus, since we occupy less than 6% of it, we have all these great tenants that are in our buildings, and we get to see how they interact with our products. So that allows me to just play in a giant sandbox and learn. And so I ebb and flow between all of those all the time, but it's a great opportunity. I think for focus, you just focus on where the biggest opportunities are, and there's not one that drives all of my time. It's a piece of all of it here.
Yeah.
Ecosystem.
I think the one in South Lake, right after it was finished, there was a car show.
Yes.
Yeah. And so we went to it, and then it was like, wait a minute, like we know this building, we know this and that. So it's funny when you kind of experience your projects, outside of, oh wait, I'm here for a car show, but also this is a project we developed.
It was fun for us just to create awareness. The car group had reached out, and they were like, hey, it's park up cars. And they were like, hey, can we host a show? Sure. And so that's worked out. They hosted one in Capella a few weeks ago, a nighttime one. So I popped in after dinner, and these beautiful McLarens and Ferraris, and I'm just a Denali person, but they have all these beautiful vehicles, and it was a great night. Engines are revving as you're buzzing down the highway. It was fun to see.
I think that's always the hardest thing is the exit. Like, guys, you can't go 700 miles an hour on your exit.
It's fun way to think about business and space and doing things differently.
Yeah.
Because we're obviously in the business to grow our fan base and to serve the clients that we do. Also, we own almost 1 million square feet of office, so we want to lease it out. And these are just lead gens for us also for events, and it raises money for charity. So I think
Yes.
about your businesses as we all do that, whether you're supporting nonprofit organizations, you're giving back to these communities, you're involved with Trek or Fight Night or something, like all those things connect, and you're just really helping serve each other. And really at the end of life's journey, I think that's what it's about, is just kind of serving each other and helping each other.
I feel like that's going to be a good sound bite for later on. What are some industry trends that you are seeing right now?
Yeah, I would say 18 months ago, because we were in the commercial office space, it was probably the bottom of the market. And DFW is the best of the best in the country for office leasing. But our team at Cushman and JLL, the teams that run our buildings, and everybody's like, oh my goodness, this is as bad as 50 years ago. And I'm like, I'm only 56. I don't quite remember that, but you're talking the mid 80s. And you listen to Craig Hall's podcast or what John Goff is talking about, you're like, wow, 18 months ago. And then to see that leasing activity circle back. So I think 1.7 million square feet of office leasing activity was active just 18 months ago. And now between 7.2 and 8 million square feet of active leases looking to move to DFW, and the amount of activity that's happening. I think that is a leading indicator. You're also starting to see Jamie Dimon post even this weekend in the Journal about their move back into the headquarters and really engaging that $3 billion investment that they made in New York City, the buying that's happening in San Francisco. So these other markets are starting to percolate back up. And so I think that's good as a leading indicator for what is happening in office. I also think it's around flexibility and change. So the co-working industry continues to do very, very well. I'm watching the way Cato's blowing up and Fuse, some of these others, but they're really focusing on the customers in their markets because not everybody wants to sit at home, be isolated all the time. They need human interaction, but you've got to create intentional spaces. You've got to mentor the next generation of leaders in your organization. So all those things I think are boding well for this industry as a whole, as a leading indicator. And so I think that's fun for us to see on the building activity side, on our furniture side, our projects, as we call it, where we're installing offices across the country, actually beat plan Q1, Q2, Q3, and hopefully Q4, which has been a complete pleasant surprise. But we also recognize that consumer is having pressure online. And so we're just watching it all, but those are all some of the trends I would say.
Yeah, no, that's exciting. And it's again, we don't have a crystal ball, but it's interesting to see, during COVID, it was everyone's obviously at home. And then it was everyone has to go back. And, and then a friend of mine, her husband works for a company, and every month they're changing it. Everybody has to be in the office every day. And then everyone has to be in the office Tuesdays and Thursdays. And then the next month they change it to something else. But I think it goes back to why are you here? Is it to interact with the team? Is it, again, kind of like you're saying, creating spaces?
Yeah.
So
I think about it as almost you've got areas for collaboration and connection, from a culture standpoint, from an ideation standpoint, but you also need those areas of concentration.
Yes.
And not everybody at home can even concentrate. Right. So how do you create those intentional spaces inside of work? And so you may be in an open plan, but then we'll take our quick flex walls and build these little 6x9 pods that you can go just reserve. Right? Some people just need 45 minutes of heads down space, mindfulness space. Do you have access to the gyms and the trails and getting headspace and getting out of the office and working out with teams or walking meetings, those types of things? I think all those are going to continue to happen.
Right.
We're not designed just to sit and stare at a screen all day. And I don't think that's going to be the future either. And so how do we create those moments to connect?
I know I've had a handful, even past COVID, it started in COVID, but then I walked a lot, to a point where I'm I can't walk for 7 hours a day, meeting with clients. But we live really close to the North Haven Trail. And so there was a handful of clients that literally every hour I was meeting another client. And then one day I was I have walked 8 miles.
I love it.
But even since, I've had a couple ladies who have said, hey, I know we did this back during COVID times, but the weather's nice. Can we just go on a walking meeting today and maybe get a smoothie or something and take with us? And obviously,
you think on your feet, and that thing. I think Steve Jobs used to have all those walking meetings, and so I think people incorporating that back in. I've even seen people two on a treadmill walking together in inclement weather, which is hilarious. But you think about it, just hey, we're just gonna have a walking meeting here. It's raining outside, so there's no excuse not to.
Yeah, my marketing manager got a walking pad.
Little treadmill pad.
So she has it under her desk too. I'm laughing because I'm like, I bet, by the end of the year, there's probably going to be 20 of them out there. Let's see. What kind of actionable advice do you have for listeners who may be in your similar field?
Yeah, well, I think, if you focus relentlessly on the customer and how to serve them and listening to the pain points as entrepreneurs or salespeople or leaders, ultimately we're monetizing pain. And so if we can reduce those friction points that our clients are feeling, it's a great opportunity, especially if you're passionate about solving it. It's a great opportunity to build business and support people. And so I always look at that as when I'm talking to entrepreneurs out there, I'm like, wow, the perfect spot for entrepreneurship is right at the collision point of where you see pain and where you're passionate about solving it and those types of things. And I think that's happening out there a lot. And so clients, for us are navigating, are we return to office? Are we hybrid? Are we culture? And what do we, and so how do we listen to those and create a plan that makes sense for them? And so every business owner out there is talking about it when leasing tours. And I'm just asking clients because it's fun for me to be on these tours because most of the time building owners are not on a tour, but I want to talk to the leaders and understand what they're trying to do because it's not about just leasing office space. They're trying to build the company and culture of their dreams. So how do we help them do it? And sometimes it's not us, like we're not the right fit, the location or wherever. But how do I help them and get them in the right spot? Because that's ultimately the right thing to do.
Well, and sometimes you can't even verbalize. Like, what is this? The culture. Everyone talks about culture, but what does that mean exactly? So I think that you have seen it in all your offices that you're leasing out and with all the stuff that you sell. You can kind of maybe, do you want this or do you want that?
Yeah, I always describe you can feel the energy of the space when you walk in. Like when I walked in today, the receptionist is awesome. I'm bumping into people just walking to the restroom. And so everybody's great here. I'm like, what great culture and energy and people. And they don't know who I am. I'm just walking through your building, just a random guest. And so to feel that energy when you walk into a space. And so in our buildings, I said, I want music outside the front of the building. So in the nightclub industry, it's always like you want to get inside what's going on in there. So we took those little hospitality details. We have music playing. We put music in our restrooms because that's always this awkward moment, but little subtle details. We have music in the lobby. And so when people walk in, they feel something when they walk in and feel the energy of a space. People are perked up. It's like, oh, what's going on here? There's energy. I didn't know what biophilia was, but biophilia is when you bring nature into an office space. We had a workplace strategy person from AT&T and we're walking around with her and she's like, where's your biophilia? And I was like, I don't even know what that is. So by being a constant in the mindset of learning and growth mindset, I just asked and said, hey, what is biophilia? And she explained it. So I ordered plants. And I think it's like Natura HQ or somebody here in town comes by and they're tweaking our plants versus me trying to buy plants, right? I was like, okay, we can partner with somebody. But that creates energy in a space. And so you learn about all these little things. I didn't know anything about sound masking. And they were like, well, you have to ABC, you've got to absorb, block, and cover sound in a building, which makes sense. This is me not just learning, but basically creating almost white noise or pink noise throughout a space because you walk in, sometimes buildings are too quiet.
Yeah.
And so how do you do that? And Buyap's located right here in town. And so they do the Cambridge sound masking system. Just when us asking questions allows you to grow your business, allows you to connect with other great business people, all by asking questions. So I would encourage everybody, if you don't know, just ask questions. I don't know. I ask all the time.
I do too. I always say when I go out to the job sites with the guys, they're probably like, zip it. Like, how many questions can you possibly ask in 1 hour? But then I file it all away. And then the next time I ask new questions.
Yeah,
so
that's the way to grow.
Yeah.
Love it.
Let's see. What are you most passionate about in your job?
Yeah, I think it's the people. You think about the team members. So I've got 150 employees today. So I've got about a little over 15 in Taiwan. I've got about 120 here in the Dallas office and then another almost 20 that are across the country. But you think about that and you recognize that an all hands meeting, the impact and the decisions I make impact their families. And so it's 150 families that I'm supporting with the decisions I make. So I'm making the best decisions I can to take care of them. And then then secondarily is really the fan base that we
Mhm.
create and these customers that we serve and these clients, and how do we create lifelong fans? So going through that process to learn about what they're trying to do and can we serve them, and can we ultimately turn that into a profitable business?
Mhm.
Because business is like everything. It's, we've got to make margin. We've got competitive pressure. We're trying to
Right.
grow too. Our team members are trying to grow career pathing for them. And we're helping these companies be successful. And if we help them be successful, then hopefully we get to go on their journey
Mhm.
with them and continue to serve them. So I get very passionate about that piece
Mhm.
of the business. I think is really the most fun,
Yeah.
most challenging,
Yeah.
the most fun.
What are some of your future goals?
Well, I think for us, I think for the business, we want to continue to, could we build a brand that can live beyond my lifetime?
Ah,
And it's very challenging to do. And you think about it as a business person, I'm a fan of business. You look at a great brand, whether it's a Starbucks or a Home Depot or a Walmart, or, and you look at these brands that have become brands, Southwest Airlines, American Airlines, they were started with one person, one idea, and they grinded through it. And it became bigger and bigger and bigger. And over time, it's lived beyond the founder's lifetimes. And it's like, do I have a shot at building one of the great brands out there that can live beyond my lifetime? And that will be the question. So as a 13-year-old business, we're an awkward teenager. So we're like zitty and going through all that stuff right now as a 13-year-old business. Can we get to our 18th birthday?
Yeah.
Can we get to our 25th? Can we feel what it's like to be a 40-year-old or a 50-year-old brand? And those steps that you go through for brand building, can we do it? And I think that's probably one of the things I've just got to see if I can help us do it.
Yeah.
And you've seen great companies do it. Bezos has figured out Amazon has gone way beyond what I ever thought it would, the way that they're continuing to attack other things, although the AWS servers are down today. So even they have challenges. But you look at all those businesses that are out there, and can they do it? And so I think for us, I want to see if we can do it. And so that's probably one of the things I'm excited about.
Wow,
It's one of the big challenges.
That's a big one right there.
That's a big one. So we'll see.
That's exciting. And the whole time I was thinking, I was like, okay, so Carrco's 31. So where are we
Saying you're at 31. The 30s are a good chapter.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I feel like things just kept getting better.
Yes, 30s are good.
Okay, fun stuff.
Yeah.
What are some of your hobbies outside of work?
So I do paint a little. So I get up there and have some fun. And Terry and our kids are 25, 23, and almost 21. So it's fun just for us and they're all almost in the area. So I would say
nice.
Family for us is a great opportunity. You take those precious moments that when the kids are younger and you have all this time together, and then you kind of realize once they hit 17, 18, 19, or even 13, they start disappearing from, from the chapters. So to reconnect there. Those are probably my two biggest things that I do. I do need to golf more.
Okay.
Thing, but it never seems to happen when I want to. But yeah, that's my stuff.
Nice. Let's see. Who or what inspires you the most?
Well, you think about the people that I work with, and so, but also great entrepreneurs out there continue to inspire me. And so I always study the greats out there. I just went on a trip, and I was actually, you study these leadership principles. And so one I'm reading about right now, his book is Nelson Mandela, to see the amount of impact through an incredible life. So I'm about a quarter of the way through his book, to see his incredible journey, to understand the experience at Robben Island, and to come out and really elevate an entire nation. But you see these great leaders out there that have faced incredible amounts of challenge and somehow figured it out. When I watch somebody like Elon Musk, who is continuously challenging this innovative exploration in Mars and space and all these things that he's doing, when I had the opportunity to read his book, which is an incredible book, it is hard to get through because it's a long one, but because it's all like 6-page chapters, it was to see how his mind works and to get through that was incredibly powerful. To read about a Steve Jobs and see what the impact he was able to make, and to see these great leaders and business owners continue to have built great companies or to build great companies is something that inspires me. It's like, okay, I've got work to do. I'm early in the journey.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
And those books are kind of like a peek behind the curtain. Anybody can read those books, but it still feels like it's a peek behind
Feels
the
like you're
curtain.
there.
Yeah.
Those two in particular.
I've read both of those, and they were both really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's
Ryan Holiday's also got a lot on the Stoics. And I wasn't that familiar with the Stoics and reading on Stoicism. But The Obstacle is the Way. It was, I think, he's got other marketing books, but that was, I think, his first book on Stoicism. I think his new one comes out this week. But to read about that and to realize, if you read Marcus Aurelius' Meditations book, thousands of years ago, the same types of challenges that we all face on a personal level, on a professional level, were things that everybody goes through. And so whether that's back to your faith and the Bible or others like that, but those types of things really allow you to sort of get the strength and resilience and resolve to get through challenging chapters in your life. So that's another area of books and stuff that's inspiring.
So I was about to ask you what your last book was, but I think you just...
Yeah, I touched on all those, so there's a bunch, yeah.
What's your favorite quote?
Oh, the God only gives you as much as you can handle is probably the one that I will take with me forever. You know, I think just because my grandmother said it to me and
stuck.
And it's stuck, and that's probably the one, that always hits me.
Nice. What is a skill you would like to learn?
My Spanish is pretty good,
okay.
You know, and my Mandarin, I think I'm about a 4-year-old. Yeah, my Mandarin's not very good.
Wow, that's a tricky one.
I think the Spanish is the one I'm leaning back into now as I'm trying to connect the dots. It's fun when you challenge yourself on the language side, how many other dots connect in there. The other area right now is AI. So I would say leveraging ChatGPT or Claude or some of these other tools out there. Leaning into great people that I can already tell are doing a lot with AI, because I do think it's going to be a huge revolutionary thing for businesses, for people, for our lives. I think a lot of positive things will happen out there. And so I would think everybody has an opportunity to lean into it. And so I'm just scratching the surface on it, but a lot of great things are going to happen in that space. And so that's another area of muscle that I'm personally trying to get more and more up to speed on and see how it can impact us, our business. I know our teams are working on a lot of great projects. We're already in beta on a lot of things that we're doing in both product ideation and design and process augmentation and simplification as we think about leveraging AI. I think it's going to be transformative for all these industries. And so if you go back to those of us that were in the .com craze, and you're like, wow, if I had just bought up all the .coms, painting.com would be a great one to own, right? So you think about it, it is a little bit of the wild, wild west. There's going to be a lot of companies that go broke, a lot of people that are going to go broke. That's just part of the journey of being an entrepreneur and a lot of these things. But AI, for those of us that worked on hand calculators, our HPs, before it flipped to Excel and all these other tools out there, it is a game changer. And so I think that's the other area I would challenge people to lean into right now. It's an area I want to grow as well.
No, that's exciting. Yeah, it's just the little basic ways that we use it, here with business development and marketing stuff. I can only imagine if somebody really dives in, what all you could do with it.
Yeah, I think the bidding process, the costing process, the utilization of materials, the labor calculations, all those formulas that are created today in Excel and modules that everybody's built will be revolutionized, leveraging AI, taking all those practices. I met with a college student a couple months ago, and he was talking about working in Oklahoma City and bidding on a project. And in a matter of 1 minute, I went on ChatGPT and kind of guessed which building he was working on. And I figured out his pricing module and what they were probably going to exit the building for. And I'm just messing around on ChatGPT while he and I are talking. And he realized at that moment that his career, his college education was going to get disrupted. So I constantly tell young people, like every 5 years, you're going to get disrupted. So if you're not in this growth mindset, asking an hour's worth of questions while you're on the job site, like taking all that and learning, because that's how business works. You want to continually be learning.
Well, and disrupted is a good word for it. It's not your job's going away.
Correct.
Things might just change a little bit. And it might be scary, because change sometimes is scary, but we're still going to need you, but maybe just in a different
You've got to
way.
have a skill set, and we've got to be able to leverage the latest in technology. So you picture, I'm not a painting guru, but I'm imagining, because I've painted a bunch, when I'm back there doing a brush versus I watch these professionals cut and the way they roll
It's
the
amazing.
mix. But if they hadn't developed those latest skill sets, you guys wouldn't be here 31 years later. So I think it's the same thing. Every industry is going to go through it. And so you either lean into the fear and you embrace the change and you make things happen, or you let it swallow you up. I always describe it as disruption. So you're constantly disrupting yourself, but you're also building a team and a culture that can handle disruptions, because a third area of disruptions happen to you. They could be beyond your control. It could be a COVID or something, but you just got to build a dynamic team, and you as an individual have got to be ready for those disruptions. So disruptions kind of hit you in 3 buckets.
No, I like that. So you have traveled quite a bit. What's the favorite place you've been? Favorite city?
Oh, favorite city? Well, recently was South Africa. I just got the country. That was my first trip down there.
Oh, that's exciting.
That was on the bucket list.
And it's on my bucket list.
Yeah, it's an absolutely. I mean, Cape Town is a gorgeous city. The people are amazing, but experience, God's presence with the animals and to see the circle of life. And I didn't realize you were actually going to see the hyenas chomping on and hearing the bones crunch and the lions walk next to me. It's those safaris really put a lot in perspective, I think, on beauty and Mother Nature. And so that was a bucket list trip that my wife and I just did. And that was an incredible journey. But I think and I think for us, it's going to be kind of like the next city and what's the next adventure. And so just kind of thinking about those things. But you go all through every country, and so I've been a lot of places, and you look at a Shanghai or a Hong Kong or a Taipei or a Taichung, or, you look at the Asian countries or Sydney or Melbourne. But what you get in there and once you start talking to people, you realize they're just like you and me. And so they're trying to take care of their families. They're trying to do a better job. They're trying to make good on the environment and do meaningful things that are going to be healthy and impactful. And so I think getting off of the news cycle and getting out to these other cities and countries. And also you buzz through the U.S. And so we had a chance to do the Oregon coast. And I had not been in a whole lot of towns that were 300 people, 200 people and all that. And to not see a big truck on the road, a big branded retail store, and just to see like normal America. And to do the Northeast last summer. And so you get out into those great cities and those towns of 300 or 400, 500 people and realize, hey, we're here to serve and to do good work.
We did the Oregon last year too. And so,
amazing, right?
And I grew up in tiny little small town Indiana. So like I'm used to these tiny little towns. So
tiny little towns. So those are some of my favorite cities. If you were to ask what favorite cities would be, the small towns that nobody's ever heard of.
So in 2020, we were planning on hiking Kilimanjaro and doing a safari, and then the world shut down. And
so now you got to go back.
We've got to put it
back. No excuse, right?
Yeah, that's exciting. On my treadmill, there's like a program where you could literally, it's pretty cool because they run along. So it's not like a video, but the guy was running on like a safari, and there's like straps next to him, and I was just like, sign me up for this. Like, I want to do this trail run.
It's unbelievable.
Okay, so I give this question to everybody, so answer it however you want. What is your favorite construction project you have been a part of?
To watch our building come to life. And I'd never been involved in building a building before. And so when we got to watch the work and Boca's, we worked with Boca Powell on the exterior, and Corgan did our interior, and then Adolfson and Peterson brought it to life. Like, to experience that, and not a guru, but I heard I knew what tilt wall construction was, but to go out there and stand on it, on the walls before they lifted it, and see the work that the team had done, and to go through I never built a parking garage, and I never poured that much concrete. And but then we did the little stuff, like we're spending all this money on the design with Hawker and stuff, and just getting the architecture right on the plants, and really getting Texas native plants in there that would attract, the butterflies and the bees, and get all those things right. But to get it all right and to see that entire project come to life, And then to have tenants want to be in there and to watch people walk in, experience, oh, I want this, knew that we had done something really, really special, right? And I think because we built it during the height of COVID, and we were so nervous about, like everybody, could we be on time? Could we be on budget? I think Amazon had bought every crazy contraption on the roofing materials for tilt wall construction. The Boken, it also had to work through how do we redesign the roof because Amazon had bought up everything. And to somehow land the plane perfectly and it worked. And to see it there. And now to have people come by all the time and I know you're building. Oh, I've seen. And just to know that nobody should have done it. Like it probably would still be 9.5 acres of empty land right now, especially with the way the world is. But we did it. We brought it to life. It's now providing great work in our space because we're allowed the community to come in and to use it. So the local elementary school, Dr. Penny brings in her teachers once a year for their offsite meeting.
Nice.
So we're able to give back to the community and have some give there. It's been a lot of fun too. So it's like working. The street light just went up the other day from across from us in Quick Trip. So I'm like, the ecosystem happened. So to know that we were the reason and to be that catalyst, has probably been my favorite so far.
It's so cool. I think that if people aren't in the industry or haven't gone through the process of building a building, I don't think they realize how it's an idea and then your little baby grows and then all of a sudden it's theirs,
Yeah.
So.
And then you live in it, and we experience it every day and, and the coffee bar and the way we design it. And we're still tweaking as we're learning. So it's fun and we're signing leases. So we've got Romagner. They're in there doing light construction and putting up walls. And it's fun to sign leases too. And that's always nice.
So it's exciting.
When it works, it's really exciting.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I think we have gone through all of our questions.
Okay, awesome.
We've gone through all of the extra stuff you wanted to talk about. Is there anything else that you were like, man, I really wanted her to ask me?
No, I'm excited. I think for all of us in this industry that there's a lot to be grateful for and hopeful for. And so whether it's the next generation that's coming up, whether it's all the companies that are moving to this great area that want to build the companies of their dreams, Dallas, Fort Worth is such a great ecosystem of great organizations and people, but it's also a great place to build the company of your dreams locally and globally. It all can happen from right here. And so there's a lot of things to be grateful for and excited about. So thank you for having me today.
Thanks for coming on. Awesome.